coming to action here at 133 pounds. Just been informed that this will be our last bout of the evening as Ohio State's Logan Stieber, scratched just after weigh-ins, will not wrestle Mitchell Port. So we don't get to see the 1 versus 2 that we were waiting to see. And we hope Logan Stieber's okay and it doesn't hamper his ability to make a run, hopefully for him, at 4 titles. But we don't get to see number 1, number 2 at 141 with Stieber and Mitchell Port because of an injury. It's not been known to us yet what it's about. So this will be our finale with AJ Schopp of Edinboro in the red, Mason Beckman in the blue. Rematch from last year's All Star Classic, won by Beckman.
Nice shot here.
Beckman in the blue, front forward roll. There's 2 for Beck Diggity. That's his Twitter handle, in case you were wondering. Takes a 2-0 lead, an All-American last year. A couple of Pennsylvania natives. These guys' rivalry goes all the way back to high school. They split in high school against one another, and they've split in college against one another.
You know, Schopp is such an unorthodox style. You know, he's just so tough to wrestle. But Beckman seems to have his number. Beat him last year.
Yeah, well, Beckman beat him here, and then Schopp avenged the win at the Midlands in the Conti semis. So, again, I think it's 3-2 is their career record. I think Beckman has the slight advantage, but going back to high school, and there's a freestyle match thrown in there too. So 2-1 lead, yeah.
But it's always a competitive match. It's always exciting with these two, and you know, it's just. It's one of those deals where, you know, you keep wrestling somebody, you know their little nuances, you know their tendencies, and it's tough to wrestle guys over and over and over again.
So the 2-1 lead for Beckman, 31 seconds of riding time. And this is Edinboro, which is out near Erie, Pennsylvania, and Lehigh, which is in the Lehigh Valley of Pennsylvania, in Bethlehem. Other sides of the state, both great wrestling traditions in both Lehigh and great wrestling tradition. Edinboro is Division II in every sport but wrestling, so it's a very unique situation there. Athletic director, a guy that won a couple medals, a lot of them, I think 13, a guy named Bruce Bumgartner, knows a little bit about wrestling.
Absolutely. Nice little swing single attempt by Beckman on Schopp, and very well defended.
So 35 to go. Beckman leading AJ Schopp, who, unfortunately for him, the college wrestling rules dictate that there's a limit to facial hair. You got just maybe a mustache, no beard. He had a monster beard growing. I mean, this thing was ZZ Top-esque, and he had to get rid of it for wrestling season. It's a real shame, you know, to see a beard like that just go. 10 seconds to go, 2-1 lead for Beckman. In the corners, Pat Santor and Brad Dillon. Tim Flynn, Colt Sponseller in the corner for... Wait a minute. That appears to be Gregor Gillespie in the corner with Tim Flynn. New York guy.
That's exactly who it is.
Yeah, I looked over because Sponseller was here on the info. I saw him earlier, and then all of a sudden I looked over. I was like, that's not Colt.
Beckman takes down in the second period.
And Beckman, very aware of how good both Mitchell Port and AJ Schopp, both Medboro, trademark. Very good top work, good tilt. So Beckman, very good on top himself, knows what it's like to put other people in these positions. How does he got to get out of here?
Well, you know, sometimes you take down on purpose because it's almost like this guy's actually going down against me. So it kind of takes you out of your game mentally. But I think these guys have wrestled against each other so many times, it really doesn't come down to that. I really think Beckman, even though Schopp is very good on top, I think he believes he can get out on him.
Riding time now heading the other direction. Edinboro, the Fighting Scots, one of the cooler names in college sports. A couple Fighting Scots, actually. Ohio Valley University in West Virginia Division II school, also known as the Fighting Scots. Little knowledge bomb for you there.
Well, let me tell you something. You're like a walking encyclopedia, Jason. Every time I'm listening to you, I learn things when I work with you. I learn more and more about different stats and so on and so forth. It's a pleasure working with you.
Well, I'm here to educate.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. There's a lot of talent in those corners, boy. There's some NCAA championships in those corners.
We got Tim Flynn and again Gregor Gillespie. Now we'll get the restart. 1:04 remaining here in the second period.
Schopp continues to work on top, has that padlock on the ankle, working that. He's not doing too much. He's just riding. He's not looking for a turn. So to me, to me, that's stalling. When you're not looking to turn somebody and you're looking just to hold a hand and padlock the ankle, you like to see. I don't agree with this call, and I think Shields is a great referee, but I don't agree with that call. When you're putting your knee on somebody's forearm, holding their hand and padlocking them, that's not offensive. That's not trying to score points.
It's offensive.
Well,
not offensive.
Basically, I think that, Beckman is the one, Schopp is the one stalling here.
12 seconds to go, and he's pretty much going to ride out the period. Wow, you can hear some of the Lehigh contingent not happy with it. And now we will end the second period. Minute and a half of riding time in Schopp's favor. That was the ring finger, in case you were wondering at home. He was not telling Tim Shields he's number one. Although he is number one.
He is ranked number one.
Yes. And now looks like we got some blood to wipe off.
So many great people a part of this event. The NWCA, Mike Moyer, Pat Tassi, John Licata, just really good people. I'm probably leaving out 100 people, but it takes a lot of people coming together to support one another to pull off such a great event in front of a packed house at the Palestra.
Yeah, the Palestra. We might have to bring, obviously, Penn wrestles here and Drexel wrestles right down the street. Two of the closest campuses, especially at the Division I level, that I've ever seen. And as we were talking to Coach Roger Reina, who was one of the honorary coaches here for Penn, along with Matt Valenti, Brett and Andy Motter, and Brandon Slay, he said, yeah, when we did a travel budget to go wrestle Drexel, we weren't getting anything. We were getting our bags out of the locker room and walking a quarter mile to the other gym. Yeah. It's that close.
You know what? That doesn't surprise me with anybody with wrestling, because you know what? We don't have big budgets in a lot of schools, and we make it work, and we continue to give opportunities to young men and now young women the opportunity to do a great sport that shows a lot of character, that helps supports people with character and determination and hard work, and gives off those traits and helps later in life the sport of wrestling.
So we started neutral here in the third period, a 2-1 lead, still in favor of Beckman. So essentially the score is tied. So Schopp taking the role that he knows how good Beckman is on top, and he's trailing. He thinks it might be better to force a tie by staying on his feet with his riding time versus going underneath trying to get the escape. Nick, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think you're right. I think he realizes if I do give up a quick two, at least I'm still in the match. I still can tie this up and bring it into overtime. And a lot of times when you wrestle guys so much, you have to strategize like that, because they know. These guys are so used to one another that they can actually plan out a match and a game plan so much better against one another than possibly another opponent.
Back to action, under a minute to go. Riding time again in favor of Schopp. So it's 2-1 on the scoreboard, but again, if that riding time's over a minute at the end of regulation, the wrestler with that control will get the extra point. And if you're looking ahead right now, that would mean this match is effectively tied.
Just about 30 seconds, a little over 30 seconds left in this one, and Beckman's got to pull something off here.
Or go to overtime. As we've had just one overtime match. Schopp throws it through, throws in the leg, and wow. Clutch. Nick Garone, clutch.
Let me tell you something, that is clutch, because you know what? I really thought Beckman was going to get one. And it went the other way. And I give Schopp a lot of credit for that.
A.J. Schopp going to come from behind. Actually, riding time would have tied it, but he finished it off in regulation. A late takedown avenges last year's All-Star defeat to Mason Beckman. Wraps things up here. A.J. Schopp going to win it at 133 for the Fighting Scots of Edinburgh.